fractured reflections. She didn't understand the purpose of these gatherings. Her mother had always encouraged her to attend such events, but the prospect felt overwhelming, like stepping into a world she didn't belong to. Now, however, everything had changed. The wedding was said to be magnificent, breathtaking even, but she couldn't help but feel it was an exaggeration. Sure, the ceremony was lovely and meticulously planned, but a strange emptiness settled in her chest. The vibrant dress she wore, a kaleidoscope of colors chosen by her mother, only deepened her discomfort. It was a stark contrast to her usual monochrome attire, and she felt like a child trying to fit into a grown-up's world. Among the sea of middle-aged couples, indifferent relatives, and bored musicians who looked too preoccupied to engage in conversation, she felt out of place. It was as if she were an outsider peering through a glass wall, watching lives unfold, but unable to touch them. People, to her, were not defined by their appearances, but by the energy they projected. Friends had their stories. Her mother was a blur of distant memories, and strangers faded into the background, an indistinct series of shapes that flowed past her, unnoticed. Tonight, however, the feelings came crashing down upon her. The cacophony of laughter and idle chatter pressed in on her, tightening its grip until she felt as though she were suffocating. It was a cruel irony that this celebration, meant to represent joy, left her feeling like an unmovable stone, weighed down by the expectations of happiness. "I need air," she thought, longing for an escape from the oppressive atmosphere. Then she saw her. The woman across the room was captivating. There was something sculptural about her presence, a beauty that felt almost otherworldly. She had an aura of serenity that drew the girl's gaze, igniting a flicker of longing deep within her. The more she looked, the more the woman seemed to shimmer at the edges, her features blurring into an idealized image that felt unreal. There was an urge to approach, a magnetic pull that felt both thrilling and terrifying. She wanted to know this woman, to be noticed by her, to connect in a way that felt profoundly significant. Yet, she was paralyzed by her own insecurities, frozen in place as the room swirled around her. With each passing moment, anxiety began to bubble within her. What if she failed to express herself? What if her words stumbled awkwardly out into the open, exposing her vulnerabilities? The crowd loomed like a dark cloud, threatening to drown her in their expectations. But amidst that chaos, a small voice inside her whispered for courage. It had been so long since she felt anything close to hope. She took a deep breath, willing herself to move forward. She approached the woman slowly, heart racing as the laughter and chatter faded into the background. The woman turned, her smile radiant and calm. It was both inviting and intimidating. "Hello," she said, her voice warm and friendly. "Hi," the girl replied, her throat dry but her spirit suddenly buoyed by the moment. The woman was engaged in conversation with a group nearby, but she turned her attention to the girl, making her feel seen in a way that had been absent all evening. They exchanged pleasantries, and the girl found herself laughing, the tension that had gripped her moments before beginning to melt away. "Are you enjoying the wedding?" the woman asked, her eyes sparkling with genuine interest. "It's different," the girl said, feeling a surge of confidence as she spoke. "I usually find these gatherings overwhelming, but tonight feels special. What about you?" "I feel the same. It's a bit much, but I love the joy in the air," the woman replied, her expression softening. For the first time, the girl felt a connection, a bridge forming between them. They shared stories, laughter, and glances that felt charged with meaning. As they spoke, She could sense a depth in the woman that resonated with her own hidden feelings. A shared understanding of what it meant to feel lost yet hopeful. But as the night wore on, the weight of reality began to creep back in. She realized that this moment of connection was fleeting, that the chaos of the wedding still surrounded them, and that she would have to return to her role as an observer, a ghost in the room. The woman's gaze seemed to linger on her, and for an instant, the world fell away. There was an unspoken acknowledgement of something deeper, a thread of possibility that made the girl's heart race. "I wish we could talk more," the girl confessed, a hint of sadness in her voice. The woman smiled, a mixture of understanding and regret. "Maybe we will," she replied. "I'll be around for a while." Just then, someone called out to the woman, pulling her attention back to the group. The girl watched as she turned, a sense of urgency rising in her chest. What if this was the only chance they had? With a sudden rush of determination, she stepped forward, her heart pounding in her ears. "Wait," she called out. The woman turned, surprise flickering across her face. Can I see you again?" the girl asked, the words tumbling out before she could second-guess herself. The woman's smile brightened. "I'd like that," she replied, her voice warm and inviting. As the woman stepped away, a sense of hope surged within the girl. The evening hadn't gone as planned, but perhaps it was a beginning, a small spark of possibility in a world that often felt so dark. She returned to the party, still feeling a little out of place, but now with a glimmer of light that hadn't been there before. In that moment, she realized that it was okay to be vulnerable, to reach out, and to seek connection. Maybe this was what happiness looked like. Not the pretense of perfection, but the courage to embrace uncertainty and the promise of something more. As the night unfolded, the girl felt a renewed sense of purpose. The air was still thick with the scent of flowers and the muted buzz of laughter, but now it carried a hint of something different, possibility. She moved through the crowd with more confidence, her mind buzzing with thoughts of the woman and the unexpected connection they had formed. She glanced around, taking in the bright smiles and animated conversations of the guests. There was a warmth in the atmosphere that had previously felt oppressive, like the walls were closing in on her. Now, it felt as though they were simply a backdrop to her own burgeoning adventure. She caught sight of her mother, chatting away with a group of friends, blissfully unaware of her daughter's transformation. "Maybe I can find my own path," the girl thought, the determination swelling within her. After a few moments, she returned to the refreshment table, pouring herself a glass of sparkling water to calm her nerves. She found herself searching the room for the woman, her heart racing at the thought of what she might say next. Each time she spotted her in conversation with someone else, a mix of excitement and apprehension filled her. She wanted to delve deeper, to learn more about this intriguing stranger who had brought light into her evening. Finally, the woman's laughter echoed across the room, cutting through the chatter like a clear bell. The girl turned to see her standing by the window, her silhouette framed by the soft glow of fairy lights. She was surrounded by a few guests, but something in the way she stood, confident yet open, made the girl's heart flutter. "Okay, you can do this," she whispered to herself, summoning all the courage she could muster. Taking a deep breath, she walked toward the window, weaving through the guests and their conversations. As she drew closer, she felt a warmth enveloping her, a sense of camaraderie with the woman who had so effortlessly captured her attention. "Mind if I join?" she asked, her voice steady despite the flutter in her chest. The woman turned, her expression brightening. "Of course. We were just talking about the honeymoon destination," she replied, gesturing for the girl to step closer. As they exchanged pleasantries, the girl found herself drawn into the conversation. The woman's name was Mia, and she was a friend of the bride. They discussed their mutual aversion to traditional weddings, the pressure of expectations, and their shared longing for authenticity in a world filled with superficiality. Honestly, I think weddings can be beautiful, but they can also feel so staged, Mia said, her eyes sparkling with enthusiasm. It's like everyone is trying to perform happiness instead of just feeling it. I completely agree, the girl said, grateful for the ease of the conversation. I mean, isn't the point to celebrate love? Not just the spectacle of it. Mia nodded, leaning in slightly, her attention fully focused on the girl. Exactly. It's about the connection, the moments that matter, not just the show. The girl felt a warmth spread through her as Mia's words resonated within her. Here was someone who understood her feelings, who felt the same disconnection from the societal expectations that had always felt suffocating. She realized that the more they spoke, the more she began to shed her layers of insecurity, like a flower blooming under the sun. What do you do? Mia asked, her curiosity genuine. I'm in my first year of college, the girl replied, a hint of pride in her voice. Studying psychology. I want to help people understand themselves better. You know? It's fascinating to me how our minds work. That's amazing. I think understanding ourselves is key to connecting with others, Mia said, her voice warm and encouraging. They continued to share their dreams, their aspirations, and even their fears. With every exchange, the girl felt a sense of liberation. It was as if the act of sharing her thoughts was unraveling the knots of anxiety that had long held her captive. As they talked, the noise of the wedding faded into the background, and the world outside the window seemed to blur. Time lost its grip, and they became cocooned in their own little universe. The girl felt alive, buoyed by the connection blossoming between them. Have you ever thought about what your ideal life would look like? Mia asked, her voice gentle yet probing. The girl paused, her mind racing. She had always been afraid to envision a future beyond the expectations laid out for her. I think I'd like to travel, she admitted, her heart racing at the thought. Explore different cultures, maybe work with people from all walks of life. I want to experience everything the world has to offer. Wow, that sounds incredible. I love the idea of immersing yourself in new places and learning from people's experiences, Mia said, her eyes glimmering with excitement. In that moment, the girl realized how rare it was to find someone who truly listened, who didn't dismiss her dreams as impractical. What about you? She asked, eager to learn more about Mia's aspirations. Mia's smile faltered for just a moment, revealing a flicker of vulnerability. I've always wanted to start a nonprofit for underprivileged youth, she said, her voice steady but tinged with longing. To create a space where they can explore their passions and feel supported in pursuing their dreams. I want to make a difference. The girl felt a surge of admiration for Mia. There was a fire within her, a determination that was contagious. You would be amazing at that, she said earnestly, a newfound confidence threading through her words. I can see how passionate you are. Mia's expression brightened at the compliment. Thank you. It's something I've been working toward for a while now. Sometimes it feels daunting, but I know it's worth it. As the conversation deepened, the girl felt a sense of kinship forming, a bond that transcended the superficialities of the evening. They began to share more personal stories, moments of vulnerability that forged an unspoken pact between them. I've always struggled with fitting in, the girl admitted, her voice softening. I feel like I've been wearing a mask, trying to please everyone around me, and it's exhausting. I know that feeling all too well, Mia replied, her tone empathetic. I used to hide who I really was to fit into what everyone expected, but it's a lonely way to live. They exchanged stories of their past, their struggles, and the moments that had shaped them. With each shared secret, the girl felt a weight lift from her shoulders, replaced by a sense of belonging she hadn't experienced in years. As the night wore on, the party began to wind down. The chatter faded and the energy shifted. Guests were starting to gather their belongings, and the dance floor emptied. But the connection between the girl and Mia felt stronger than ever. Can I get your number? The girl blurted out, a mix of nervousness and excitement coursing through her veins. I'd love to stay in touch. Mia's eyes widened slightly, then softened with a smile. I'd like that a lot, she replied, pulling out her phone and typing in her number. Let's meet up soon. I'd love to continue our conversation. The girl felt a rush of exhilaration at the prospect. Definitely. I'll text you. As they exchanged farewells, the girl felt a sense of hope blossoming within her. For the first time in a long while, she could see a path forward, illuminated by the possibility of new connections and friendships. As she walked away from the wedding, the vibrant colors of the night felt less overwhelming and more alive. The stars twinkled above her, each one a reminder of the endless possibilities that lay ahead. And in that moment, she knew that she was no longer just a ghost in someone else's story. She was beginning to write her own. The journey ahead might be uncertain, but for the first time, she felt ready to embrace it. With a newfound sense of self and the promise of friendship, she stepped into the night, her heart full of anticipation for what tomorrow would bring.